Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Alan Sun of a track by an act named NeonGarden titled But I Love You. And if we switch over to here as part of their custom monthly music review, I'll be checking out this track. From start till finish, we also have lyrics to look through at the end as well. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, that's a nice warm sound to those synths. Oh, great. Oh, damn, the sizzly guitar tones, dude. With the natural harmonics on the right side. Great contrast there with those extended harmonies. Oh, that falsetto was absolutely sensational. Did you hear that falsetto vibrato? I mean, I'm guessing you did. Great repetition of that vocal melody there. Really fascinating, especially when it goes up high. Oh, a little bit more development there later on the right side. Smart move. Nice contrast to the rhythm on the left. Nice cool response there with a really dreamy reverb tail on it. Oh, that's a fun switch. Not sure if I'm totally happy with the mix. There's like a lot of presence to the drums, so I'm hoping that like there's some additional context to those string parts as we go along. The tone feels pretty dope though, the 16th note grooves. Oh no, the guitars are floating on top, it's fine. That's a bit better. It's almost like if you don't have your head, it's almost like if you don't have your hoodie covering your ears, you can hear the music correctly. Nice shimmer to those tom hits actually. I'm enjoying the way the vocals are recorded and those delays and repeaters on them are sensational. Oh damn, that crash. How the snare, hi-hat and snare comes in like that. Peters around the place. It's gorgeous, dude. The tone of it is really flash. Really nice and warm and exuberant and colorful. And those octave shifts there on that lead are dreamy. I like the instrumental parts just as much as when the vocals are there. I'm familiar with the theme at this point, I don't feel the need to say a lot more. The performance is immaculately tight. The emphasis, the accent on that last little word of the vocals before everything kind of comes in with resting guitars. Yeah, no, that high head voice is absolutely dreamy. It sits there really nicely. I think like the added sort of compression plus the red layer and reverb allows it to sort of sit like a synth layer as opposed to as much of a storytelling device. That vocal fry is absolutely exceptional. Lots of emphasis and power in that. It's exactly what we need at this point in time. We needed something a little bit extra. If we're going to keep the accompaniment reasonably simple. Ooh, that's giving me a like. That sent chills. That was huge, man. That was huge. That came out of nowhere. Yeah, let the guitar just swim up and down in the ocean, in the ether. We're letting it fade out like that. That scream at the end was so powerful. Was that the final message before we just finish? Oh, goodness me. I think I need a cigarette after that one. So we've also got the lyrics here kindly provided by Alan Sun for But I Love You by NeonGarden. What do we got? Memories of meeting you like a story given to me by God. So this is about like someone dreaming about embracing it. Or like meeting someone who was trying to embrace their dreams. Like a story given to me by God, you tell me also for all along he'll be cut off until you feel asleep and feel it inadvertently. Oh, so you can't embrace your dream until you fall asleep. So basically you can only find your dreams in your sleep. Afraid of time, afraid of being too far away. Your best wedding can lean by your side. Don't think you were so sad before, but now I love you. So is this basically to say that we used to know someone and then we fell in love with that person, or we didn't necessarily appreciate that person, but now we do? And, you know, your best wedding. So you can see that other person getting married and just realize that like you'd like to lean on them, but you can't anymore. And you just feel like screaming into the void because of the opportunity that's been missed. Is that it? This is effectively the conclusion of my review of, what's the track called? But I Love You by NeonGarden. Yeah, I think that this track is about someone who realizes how much they care about someone just a little bit too late. They're like, oh, that person's gone. And just initially they're just screaming into the void, I love you. They're just so frustrated because they had all those opportunities to be able to do it. And they sort of like the person slept with them being together maybe. And things just didn't work out. And it's really rough. It's a really rough feeling, you know, when you know, those two people and they seem diametrically opposed to each other, as if they're going to go towards each other, but they slip through, and then you're just like, crap, what do I do now? And it's just that emptiness, that void. I have to hand it to this band. There was really great storytelling. I enjoyed the lyrics, the way that they were told there. I think that there was a really catchy sort of like chorus kind of concept there, with the verse providing further articulation, and just again having that scream from the vocals in that last part was all we needed. Because it may not have appeared that I was paying too much sort of attention to the vocals, aside from like when I talked about like really appreciating that falsetto early on, as well as the growl. But I think it's just because the vocals simmered so much in the background, even at the vocal fry part before the scream, it just legitimately just felt so calming and pleasant to sort of be around. And it helped me to understand the drums and bass guitar better, as well as everything else in the mix, as well as those synths I think we had early on. It was just such a warm sort of reception there with the synths coming in before like the other instruments came and sort of like boosted it up a little bit dynamically. But the singer is fantastic, great chest and head voice, very confident of what they're doing on the mic. Again, great falsetto vocal technique, a little bit of vibrato, a little bit showing off, a little bit of flexing. Nothing wrong with that. Gotta love musicians and singers who can actually play, and this singer could sing. And they emoted really well, I think, and effectively and properly for the subject matter, which I also enjoy a lot. It makes me sad when people don't necessarily know how to perform the story they've told, but we didn't have that issue in NeonGarden. They nailed it. I think that with this track they slammed the motif behind it out of the park as well. Like, I mean, it sounded nice and warm and loving and caring, and never went too dark or too deep or anything like that. There was a sense of emotional sort of turmoil, but there was always this loop of the feeling of happiness and realizing you do love that someone, even if you can't necessarily get a resolution out of it. At 5.5 minutes, it was it's quite a long song, but it was filled to the brim with lots of content, from like the different vocal parts to get into the different sort of guitar lead parts and string parts. The bass was nice and groovy in that low end and kind of had a nice sort of resonance to it. That was more sort of present when it was starting to fade out, and the drums as well. There's a nice sense of movement from those, especially in those tom fills and like the verse parts. They were gorgeous. I think that the actual instrumental performances blew me away. They were really nice and tight. Again, with the tom fills and the different sort of strum parts as well, and the lead sort of octave bits on the guitars. The bass was so supportive of the rest of the elements of the mix that it didn't necessarily sort of like poke its nose out too much, but I don't necessarily mind that. I think it's great when like a band can work together and know the place and when not to play and when to play. Like, they didn't overplay or anything like that. It's great. There was a beauty with the harmonies here with some of the extensions there, but also the octave work that I think made it seem kind of sophisticated and sleek and added a sense of brightness to it that I think was really refreshing. I think that it can be sort of sad when bands either commit too much to that sort of like sparkly high stuff or too much to the lows. There was a nice sense of grey sort of mid resonance there that I don't always necessarily appreciate, but within this track I could gel with. It was great. I suppose from a production perspective, the recordings of the various instruments, including guitars, bass, and drums, and the vocals, they're all filtered quickly and nicely. The audio quality was great. I know I wasn't particularly fond of the mix at the very first part once the drums came in, but it was simply just getting used to how present those drums were and how they were interacting with the other elements. It wasn't like there were any sort of like weird resonances in the mix. It's not like there weren't any issues with like the filtering and the leveling and the gluing and stuff like that. It was nice, you know, the stereo panning was fantastic, and again, I think that the vocals were handled really well with the level of compression, reverb, and delay on those, especially in some of those repeaters filling up the space and the call and response with those lead guitars. And even with the panning of the rhythm and like the distorted rhythms and then the leads on the right side, you know, those opposites there at the start, great use of space within the mix. There were no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. It was nice and loud without pumping. It's a really well recorded and well produced track. The performance is tight and the vocals sounded authentic and really I will remember that for those verse melodies simply for that really kind of wild falsetto that we had. It was just a nice way of kind of elevating it. Add something quirky and unexpected, but make it so that it works for the song. You need to do that. There's so many bands out there creating really phenomenal music now, and you need something different and unique, even if it's a sort of an alternative way of voicing yourself and telling your story. And in fact, arguably, that's one of the most important ways to make a name for yourself as a musician. And I think that NeonGarden overall have nailed it, because this is effectively my SP Patrons video, my review of NeonGarden's But I Love You. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.